My name is Devontae Friga.
What's up? It's your boy Sean Marion.
My name's Jordan Lawley.
Kareem Biggums.
If you're watching this, shout out to the All the Way Up podcast.
All the Way Up podcast.
Shout out to All the Way Up podcast.
Shout out to All the Way Up podcast.
Yo, want to say shout out to the All the Way Up podcast. Keep doing it big. It's your boy RG3. I'm rocking with you.
Look, they call him Coach Loggins. Born and raised, he from Chi-Town. Spreading love to the East Coast, it's a rap now. The game's over, it's winning season, I should've told you. Coach Loggins, the winning team, it's the takeover.
Wow, what did you guys think about that intro? Came into that, I just want to send a huge shout out and a thanks to Devontae Friga. Listen, I appreciate your support. The Matrix, Sean Marion. Thank you, brother. Keep watching the All the Way Up podcast. You're already following me, subscribed. I appreciate it. Jordan Lawley, thank you so much. Thank you, Jordan. RG3, you know about me. You gave me that shout out, bro. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And last but not least, you are funny. Kareem Biggums. You can't stop making me laugh. Follow Kareem Biggums on Instagram, guys. Funny dude if you don't know who he is. So these people are part of the celebrity tournament, the basketball tournament that happened on 4/5, which would be April 5th. And we got a chance to hang out with these guys, and Rob was backstage with them, videoing them, and I got a chance to meet these guys. I've been getting a chance to meet a lot of celebrities, musicians. We support BET. BET sponsors us. We sponsor them. You know what? At the end of the day, it's about people coming together and fixing people. So I'm launching today, guys, All the Way Up podcast coming to you right now. Episode number 6. You heard it. Can't believe we've had going on number 6 episode already. And thank you guys for all your support. Follow me, Coach Loggins 128 on Instagram, Felix Loggins on Facebook, right? Coach Loggins on YouTube. You guys got me. You can find me. It's very easy. You'll have the link below. You guys know how to do it. So let's get this party started. And I'm pretty excited because I have a lot of great things. Since the last podcast, the team that works for me had set records in the car business, unit records, unit goals, customer satisfaction goals. Just all in all, we've had a phenomenal March, and I appreciate all my people involved in making that phenomenal. I appreciate Rob and all the guests that we've had and the people that assist in our future and your future. We do this together, guys. I tell everybody, I'm not doing this. I'm doing this to give back. I'm not doing this for a living. I don't need to do this for a living. I enjoy doing this. So getting into the podcast, I was sitting with a couple employees yesterday. It was either yesterday or the day before, and I was thinking about this, and I want to ask you guys real quick. Has anybody ever heard of the book, The Little Engine That Could? I want you to think about that for a minute. Did anybody ever hear the book? And I think most people that are alive now probably had to read it when they were in kindergarten, I don't know, first grade, whatever, when they used to make us read these 5-page books with big lettering. But I believe that everybody at one time had to read books. But I'm an older gentleman. I'm almost 50. I'm 47 years old. And the Little Engine That Could came to me, and it was a book, because I said to an employee, I said, why don't you remember that book, The Little Engine That Could? What did he say as he was going up the hill and he was going and he had his load? It was, choo good, choo good, choo. It was like, I think I can. And I stopped and I caught myself saying this to somebody. I said, stop. Why were our parents and family even weak in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? I want you to think about this for a second. I think I can. I would have scrapped that book, and the new book would have said, The Little Engine That Did. And then it would have been when I was going up that hill with that big load and I was running out of steam, it'd be, I know I can. I know I can. I want you to think about the difference in that mindset between saying, I think I can, or I know I can. Think about that. Today's mindset, mentality, motivation, focus is going to be on things like that. The other thing that I'm here to do for you is I'm here to be the wind in your sail. If you're out in there sailing and you need help, I'm going to be the wind in your sail and I'm going to push us forward. That's our goal, right? Without the win in the sale, you're not going anywhere. And if I can't give you something out of this, then we have nothing. And that's the goal, is to give you something. So, wow. With that being said, we're going to dial in to where I left back off before episode 3. I was into the history in episode 2 of the history of me and getting to where I'm going. Because in 3, we had Las Vegas NAD. I just want to recap everybody. And then 4, we got into a complete different. And now we've reeled ourselves back in to episode 6 to where I was a salesperson and I was supposed to move to Florida with my sister and she left and I decided not to go. That's where I'm going to pick up. And I'm going to fast forward into this so it doesn't take a long time to tell you as the trials and tribulations that I went through and the things that I had to do to correct and have a right mindset. One of the things I had to make sure to have in growing in my business and growing as a person and being a successful person was measure twice, cut once. And that is always going to be, and I'm always going to say that to people, because here's the reality of it. How many of us have wrapped a present before? I'm going to raise my hand. How many of us could say we're actually good at it? I don't see very many hands raised out there. Because the average person refuses to measure the size of the package they are wrapping, the box that they are putting it in. What's up, Baha? There he is. We got some special guests in here, guys. You didn't even know that, because I'm streaming over on this side on Instagram. So measure twice, cut once in everything you do. It'll save you time. It'll give you accuracy, and it'll make sure that you have people around you that want to be. The other thing is you need to surround yourself with people around you that are there to push you to be your absolute best. You never want to be around people that do not push you to be a better person, to be a better employee, to do things better for yourself, to set big goals and big dreams. You want to have people around you that do that. Surround yourself with people that are either more successful than you or on the same path to be successful as you. Okay? So getting into that, my sister took off. I was on my own. I knew I had nothing to do but to survive at this point. So I worked very hard to do this. Long story short, after a year and a half of being a salesperson, I moved to another dealership with the promise of becoming a manager. And I was basically told that if I did well, 6 months of being number one, I could pick a seat and become a manager. And I took the leap of faith, and I know that a lot of people don't believe people in the car business. And during this time, I didn't believe anybody, but I took a chance at knowing that if I count on myself and trust in myself, I will win. Not always trusting the people around me, but as a salesperson, you're kind of on your own. You got to trust how good you are, because you got to be a self-motivator and a self-starter. So I went over to this business. I went through the 6 months. The GM at this time, his name is Jody. To protect him, I won't say any other names or last names. Great friend of mine. Said, come in, pick a desk, be number one. We'll make you a manager on your 7th month. So I get in there, work the deal, get it done. Number one salesperson month 1. Number one salesperson month 2. Number one salesperson month 3. Number 4. Can I ask you guys a question? Do you think that came easy, or do you think that they helped me? They didn't help me with anything because I was the new guy. I did exactly what I was set out to do. I went into the managers that said I was going to become a manager, and I said, hey, I'm on month 7. You told me I could get that position as a manager. Well, which position you want? Which position you want? I go, I don't know. I think finance would be a good place for me to start. He goes, okay, go talk to the finance director and we'll see, if that works out for you. I was like, whoa, wait a second. That's not the agreement. The agreement was I gave you 6 months of being number one. I want the same thing in return. And you told me month 7 I'd be a manager. So I had to push back a little bit and kick stream and do what I had to do a little bit. But at the end of the day, I got the opportunity. And I got the opportunity, and I was the 3rd seat as a finance manager in the business. And I was just starting to understand the business, and I had a finance director, and there was another finance person with experience. And I'll tell you that It's not always what people think, because I was making great money on the floor as a salesperson. And 9 out of 10 times when you get a promotion in the retail business, in the automotive industry, very few times do you take a step up and your paycheck goes up immediately. It's usually you take 1 step backwards to take 10 steps forward. I'm going to say that one more time. 1 to 2 steps backwards to take 10 steps forward, which is exactly what I did. My first month as a manager in the finance department, I got half the money, and I was there all day and all night. I mean, I was talking 12-hour days, which I wasn't extremely used to at that point, but I was used to working a lot. And then I noticed that, you know, the finance director was leaving at 4 o'clock. I'm there till 10 o'clock, and I'm just watching this. And, you know, my GM comes up to me and says, just keep your head down and run and keep doing what you're doing. Keep working hard, making customers happy. Numbers will prevail. You know, there's a saying, and he told me this, and I'll never forget it. Today I'm your boss, tomorrow you're mine. And that stuck with me through the whole thing. And you know what? I've replaced people ever since. And I'll tell you, that finance director that was there inside of 2 years, not even 2 years, a year, maybe a year and a half, he got termed, and I replaced him as one of the youngest finance directors at the time. Our store was selling 250 to 275 cars at this time, and when I became director with the GM, we interlocked. We had a great team. We started selling 350 to 400 cars. We were a top dealer, and we were having fun. And I tell the story all the time. Guys, we didn't talk about sleep. We didn't talk about time off. We didn't talk about time on. We didn't talk about, oh, I got a vacation in 3 months. I can't stop thinking about it. Listen, we didn't celebrate our time off until we were off. And we left when the job got done. We left no stones unturned. We came into work every day with a plan, with an action plan, with goals, with actions to support that plan, not just saying we were coming into doing what we're doing. So if you want to be successful, you can't just show up to be successful. To be successful, you got to actually come in, you got to do it, you got to map it out, you got to line it out, and you got to show it. And as you're showing it, and you write it down, and you're looking at it, it happens. If you're not looking at it, and you don't have that pathway, it's never going to happen. It just doesn't happen. This isn't a lottery. You got a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice than you hitting your goals that way. So what I'm going to say is one of the other things is being a manager in any business, even being a salesperson in any business, a good employee, a good manager, a good leader, a good supervisor is a great checker. And how I'm going to say that one more time is a great checker. What does that mean for us that may or may not understand that? A good checker is someone that says, if we instruct somebody to do something, we come behind them that day or the next day and we make sure it got done. We follow up and we make sure it's got done. What's the other important thing with follow-up? Communication. Communication is the second biggest recipe to any recipe of baking anything. Is gotta have great communication, right? You gotta have people skills, and you gotta communicate, and you gotta be sincere, and you gotta be empathetic, and you gotta be enthusiastic, and you gotta be confident. And that's how this stuff works. That's how I've moved my way up in my career. So as I moved my way up in my career, now I'm a finance director, and I was there for 4 to 5 years, setting great records, and unfortunately, it didn't work out, and I ended up leaving there to take a better opportunity. And the next opportunity that I took, 4 to 5 years as a finance director, is I went to a store that was selling about 150 cars a month if they were lucky. And I went there to be a finance director. When I tell you they were probably closing the doors, I couldn't tell. I mean, it seemed like they were. And we went to this store, and I went in there as a finance director, where I spent 8 years in that store as a finance director. I spent 8 years in that store, and I'm going to tell you a story. Me and the owner had a great relationship till this day. He's a great person. Great people, great family. And they still do pretty well. We took that store from 100 and whatever it was, 50 cars. It might have not have even been that much, to 300, 400 cars. I want you guys to think about this. Very quick, a year to 2 years, max, a year and a half. And I made sure to protect the store. I was the hardest worker in the room. And I always knew what was going on, and I had a pulse on everything with my department. I was a finance director. We had a general sales manager. We didn't really have a GM. He was the owner. So everything was good. I went through the 8 years, and then I find out they were looking for a GM, and I was like, hey, what about me? I was like, he's like, well, you make good money where you're at. You should probably just stay where you're at and stay put. He was content and thought that I would be in the position I was in. I was not okay with that. I wanted something different, but the fact was that I didn't even get offered it. So once this happened, I felt that I was undervalued, not understood at that point. I was the hardest worker, and I made sure to protect the owner at all costs, no different than I do anytime. I protect at all costs, right? Protect the company's assets. If you remove the assets off the back, the ETS, it's ass. Protect the company's assets. And that's 100% what that means at all times. So once I realized that I didn't get that opportunity, I got hungry. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I go out and get this? Why don't I start looking and seeing my chances are, and understand, folks, I told you, I started at sales. I worked up in the finance, and I was a hard worker. Subprime finance and prime finance director, and I did all of it. Subprime paper, prime paper, spun 150 deals a month as a director, as a finance person. People cry at 70 deals a month right now. They cry and have tears right now at 70. I'm tired, boss. Okay, I got it. But follow me for a second. So once I realized that I think I got passed up, this is why I tell people, if you want something, you need to go get it. And I put out a little chirps out there and a little birdies out there and said, hey, I might look at a possibility for a GM position somewhere. Next thing you know, a week later, I'm meeting up with somebody already at a Chevy Buick GMC store. I'm meeting up with somebody to talk about it already. And if you want something, you got to go get it. So I end up meeting up with this person. We end up talking. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I got to see the campus. I got to meet him. I got to meet his family. He offered me the job, and I was making really good money where I was at. And he offered me the job. And he goes, when he first offers me a job, he goes, I'm going to give you the opportunity, but you don't have any GM experience. He goes, I'm going to give you the opportunity. He goes, but I'm not going to pay you any guarantee or anything extra. Let me tell you guys something. I went from making really good money. My first month as a general manager, the store was selling 80 cars a month. And my first month, I might have sold 90. And I went home after I got my check. And when I tell you I was devastated because I was like, this, which is the reaction of most people. You're making one thing, next thing you know, you make another, and you worked even harder. And I'm looking down at like, but then I sat there for a second and said, if I sell this many cars, I will make this much. If I sell this many cars and I control my expenses and I do good advertising and I brand myself and brand my company and brand my people, I will build it and they will come. Well, inside of a year to a year later, the store went from 80 cars to about 200 to 275 at that time. Now I'm making a paycheck. Now I'm building a company. Next thing you know, we're the top GMC dealer, top Buick dealer, top Chevy dealer. Owner comes to me to give me another store. I get another store 25 minutes away. I now go into that store and I take that store, I clean that store up, and I fix that store. This is such a great story, folks, because what you don't understand is in between this, all the blood, sweat, and tears that were put into it. And that's why I try to tell people, I can only use the formula that I use for success to give to you. And if somebody uses that, you can win. It doesn't have to be the same way, but I will tell you this, hard work prevails. Everything happens for a reason. You must be hungry and humble at all times. And you must be a great checker. You must be a great communicator, a great checker, You must have great leadership skills. You must be humble and hungry, and you must be driving the ball down the field at all times. There's no time for rest. And I'll tell you, I picked up that second store. Inside of 8 to 10 months, that second store was selling a couple hundred plus cars. Now I had 2 stores selling 500 cars a month, if that makes sense, which wasn't selling it. Setting all-time records in multiple states, setting all-time records with General Motors. And you know what? I shoot out my props to General Motors, okay? I was with them a long time, almost 18 years. And the hard work in between that is what prevailed. And not saying no and not giving up. The nights that I went home and said, man, I could just go back and be a finance director and not have this brain damage. I could just go be a salesperson and make my $100,000 a year and be happy. Whatever the case is. I could do less and be happier, but that's not the case because I don't give up and I don't stop and I don't change. What's really good about this is the next episode is coming. And in this next episode, I'm going to tell you the great thing that happened after I took those 2 stores to where they were at. Understand, so I started in sales, went to finance director, went to general manager of 1 store, then went from general manager of 1 store, took over a second store, and I got bored. And when Dan gets bored, it's not good. So I got bored, and I'm going to leave that for you for episode 7. Because it's great. When I tell you what happened after this, we 10 times it. We blew up times thousands. We square rooted it. We were on the next planet. And I'm going to tell you this. I appreciate everybody that's been following us. I appreciate everybody that supports us. And let me tell you something. Subscribe, like, Coach Loggins 128. Guys, anything you need, any topics you want me to talk about, push it through. You guys can message me. I'm always available. Coach Loggins, 128, out.
They call him Coach Loggins, born and raised, he from Chi-Town. Spreading love to the East Coast, it's a rap now. The game